Welcome back, everyone, to another Mandalorian spoiler review. We are Get Your Geek On. I'm Robert. That's Aaron. We are here to talk today about Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. That's what we're going to talk about. Again, spoiler review. We're not going to recap the episode necessarily, but we're going to talk about how we felt about it, maybe pick out some favorite things, and then talk about maybe what's coming next or what we're excited about. So, Aaron, let's talk about The Believer.
The Believer.
Yeah.
So
who is it? Who's the Believer?
I'm guessing Bill Burr.
I mean,
I really don't get who
I
that
feel
was.
like it could be any of the three of them, and maybe it's a reference to all three of them. Mando, Miggs Mayfeld, who's Bill Burr's character, or General Hess, I think is the name of it, because he's certainly a believer in his cause as well.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, this episode was really good, like shockingly good. And Boba Fett decided to copy Mando.
Yeah,
and the first thing to get his armor back was like
shiny
I'm fixing
armor.
This.
They're not on a timetable or anything. They're not in a hurry, where it's like they're trying to save Grogu or anything. It's just we got time to shine up my armor. Don't worry about it.
But Boba, I need to go. No. I gotta look good. You're looking better than me.
Yeah,
I need to look good
not okay.
too.
All right, so here's what I will say. So I watched it twice.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, I was a little bit disappointed, and I think that was just because knowing we only have 2 episodes left this season, I was expecting this to move the story forward more. Like I was watching it, I was certainly expecting that we were going to be in kind of direct conflict with Moff Gideon by the end of this episode, and then and I don't know. So the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, really, this is the episode, this is what we're doing, and then when I watched it the second time, I think appreciated what it was.
Yes.
Rather than just saying, what did I want it to be or what did I expect it to be? And so definitely on my second viewing, I think I really appreciated this episode a lot. There's definitely, I will say this, as a Star Wars nerd, there is a ton of Star Wars nerdery here that you may not have even picked up on. There's a ton of stuff that I was like, oh. And I think it was done in a way that, again, would not necessarily,
I wouldn't
wouldn't pick up on it. But for me, it was like, holy cow, this is an episode for Star Wars nerds that I think is also for anyone who's a fan of just The Mandalorian.
Maybe because I know I like this one for the fact that we get the Empire, we get Bill. I can't say his character's name, so
Miggs Mayfeld.
Miggs, I'm gonna call him Miggs.
That's cool.
So Miggs, we get his character kind of explaining, I think, what the average person would feel too, and I like that whole part.
Well, yeah. So you're talking about when he's talking with Mando, about the transport. Empire, Republic, it's all the same.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly. A philosophical piece that I think has always been a part of Star Wars, but hasn't always been executed well. I mean, if you think back to the prequel era, there's certainly talk about how, the Jedi Order has lost their way and they're not, it's explored in Clone Wars about how, how do you be a peacekeeper while also being a general in an army? Those types of things. And so it's always been kind of explored a little bit. But I will say this was the best representation in live action that we've gotten. I think there's stuff in the animated series that does this just as well or maybe even better. But certainly in any of the movies or anything, a discussion about, the common person and what a conflict means to them, I think, matters a lot. And to have that lead directly into an attack by pirates, but they're just people defending their home. I mean, they're not trying to steal this to use it for their own nefarious purposes. They're just trying to deprive the Empire of it. And so in that sense, there's some conflict going on there where you're like, yeah, I'm rooting for Mando. He's my guy and he's after Grogu and he's got to do this. But at the same time, I'm not sure these are actual bad guys that he's just wiping the floor with, and then he's allying, with the Empire. I mean, you got the TIE fighter
and
coming in.
That was a cool scene. Like,
and stormtroopers hitting things again.
Yeah, that's true.
Again, plot armor is an absolute thing in Star Wars, especially when it comes to stormtroopers. They cannot hit a main character, but everything else they appear to be good with.
Yeah, dead on accuracy. But they're all dead like a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's kind of, again, going back to the original Star Wars movie. Obi-Wan Kenobi makes a point that, this Jawa transport was attacked, and we know it can't have been Tusken Raiders because only Imperial troops have this level of precision. And so it's like this running joke where it's like, really? They have this precision, but they can't hit any main characters? And so, it's kind of... It's nice to play with that again and go, oh, look, they're still able to hit things. It's just not any of our main characters unless they're wearing Beskar. And then they can hit them.
Then they can hit them all day long, and it's okay. It's okay. And I did like, the scene with Mando, because Mando's used to his armor.
Yeah.
So he kind of let his guard down, even with those pirates, because he knows he wears his armor. Oh, I can take the hit.
When he got hit on the arm, and you could see he was like, oh, crap, it's not Beskar.
Exactly. It's like, oh, that's right, I'm wearing plastic.
Right. I'm wearing armor that literally helps no one.
No one. And see, so I have to say this. I did read up on what Stormtrooper armor can do.
Okay.
And it's supposed to disperse the energy blast and protect them and all this stuff. And I'm like, where does this happen?
Yeah.
It doesn't do any of this.
We've never seen that. We've literally seen if you take a blaster shot to the chest, you're dead.
Yeah.
As a stormtrooper. So it does not disperse anything.
Sense. I read up on it because I was like, okay, what does this armor do? Because apparently sticks it doesn't block a stick.
No, it doesn't.
Because he got hit
anything.
with a stick and it shattered that shoulder piece. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up and it was like, it disperses the energy across here and it helps regulate their body temperature. And if they lose a limb, that it'll compress around their, like if the limb was bleeding out or something, it'll compress around it to help with the blood loss.
Okay.
Where does this happen?
Somebody explain this to me. We haven't seen it. No, that's true.
I don't know. Sorry. That was my rant about armor and how crappy it is.
Yeah, so I think there's definitely some interesting philosophical discussions here. And certainly, when we get to... Yeah, I mean, this is the episode where, the Mandalorian, this is the way. I mean, they talk about, you do not have those specific questions.
Yes.
Has your helmet ever been removed from your head? Have you ever removed it yourself? Those kind of things like this is the way.
Yeah.
And so we are, we've seen this slowly being stripped away. This whole season, he's had his beliefs.
This season the most, I think.
Yeah, he's had his beliefs kind of challenged, whether it's, via Bo-Katan, whether it's via, Boba Fett and what makes a Mandalorian, whether it's, Ahsoka, kind of talking about, the Jedi and all those. And, there's so many things that it's just stripping away his beliefs.
Yeah.
And now he's got to strip away his armor. And, we're introduced to this character where nothing is more important to him than the way. And that is no longer the case. Grogu is more important to him than the way. And he has said, taking that mask off, I like the conversation where, Migs is like, is it that you can't take your helmet off or that you can't show your face?
Exactly.
Because there's a difference. And so
that's so true.
And it's like you see, and he even talks about how, we all make compromises. When our backs are against the wall, when we're under pressure, how far are you willing to compromise? And so that's the first compromise that he's, going to put on a different suit of armor because they need to get into that building and, Migs can't go by himself. We got to, okay. And so now that's the first compromise. But then when he's in that mess hall, when he makes that decision that I'm going to take off this helmet, he does do it. And I love Pedro Pascal's acting in that scene because you can see how uncomfortable he is the entire time his mask is off. Like he's just like, I don't like this. He feels so vulnerable. He doesn't want to have a conversation. And we're used to this character who is just hyper confident, who is just always like, he can confront anyone. He can say anything. And in that scene, he is like, he's a deer in the headlights.
He really is. And I loved him in that scene. I think that whole part was perfect. Then you get Migs coming in here to save him because you have I don't know what his rank was, but that officer comes up to him.
Yeah, I think he's a general.
Who's a character actor, I believe, and they say he plays a lot of the villains. I don't remember his real name. But
it's something Drake or Break. I think it's Break is his last name. He was the Night King in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the first couple of seasons or something with it.
Yeah.
So I think it was so cool, first of all, to bring that back around, a Game of Thrones reference. But then, Migs comes up there and kind of saves the day almost with him to make sure he doesn't feel uncomfortable as much. And he tries really hard to get rid of him, to get him out of there. Yeah. But then we get the scene with the officer. With,
by the way, an Office Space reference. Did you catch that?
No.
We got to go fill out our TPS reports.
That's from Office Space?
That's literally from Office Space. That's the whole thing about, like, did you get the email about the TPS reports? Like, it's literally, I was like, I see what you did there. It's like, we're a little making an Office Space reference. I like that.
Funny. I didn't catch that.
But yeah, I mean, leading into that scene with that general, and this is one of those things where, again, this is for a Star Wars nerd.
Okay.
Operation Cinder. So this has been talked about in video games, in books, in comics. Operation Cinder was the Emperor's basically scorched earth plan for if he ever died, remnants of the Empire were supposed to basically destroy these specific planets that were they were Empire planets. And it was basically like, you're supposed to, like, you know, and it was like to cause dysfunction. And it was basically the Emperor saying, if I'm not around, the Empire shouldn't be either.
So he would literally kill his own people.
Yep. And so there was a select group of Imperial officers that knew about that plan. And their job was to basically, and Naboo, which is where, you know, Emperor Palpatine is from, where Padme is from. That was one of the planets that, you know, it was like they did some scorched earth policy there. Obviously, Burnin Khan, which is the one that Miggs Mayfeld was on, you know, resulted in basically the Empire turning on their own people and, you know, destroying them. And again, it's in an attempt to, you know, sow dysfunction, to remove resources from whoever's trying to come in after the Empire. And then there is a kind of larger plan, which eventually comes to fruition in a very ham-fisted way in the Skywalker saga, is that some of these Imperial officers who were part of Operation Cinder were also then supposed to, you know, go out into the unknown regions and prepare for Emperor Palpatine's eventual return. So this is all tied together. They're supposed to basically, you know, form the next system of government, which again, you know, that he talks about, you know, the people don't want freedom. They think they want freedom, but what they really want is order, first order. Like that's the type of thing where, again, as a Star Wars nerd, I'm like, oh my gosh, like so there is a lot going on here that you don't need all of that for that scene to work, because I think it worked for you either way.
It was a powerful scene, I thought.
But definitely for me, that you can see that Mayfeld probably was a believer in the Empire until Operation Cinder. Yeah, and at that point, it was like, you know, this government doesn't care about me or my family or my friends. Like, they literally, you know, and he talks about just killing all those people. They were heroes of the Empire, and you could see Mayfeld is just like,
he wanted to kill him the moment he started talking about it.
He did, and that's my question to you is, did he not want to go into that room because he knew that he wouldn't be able to control himself? Like, he gives the explanation that, oh, I might be recognized, but I got the impression that was not really his concern. That really he was going, I'm not going to be able to control myself with this guy. I'm gonna want to kill him.
I really think he wasn't gonna be able to control himself because as we're sitting there talking, you see the whole, like, the disgust
he's
on his
so
face.
Uncomfortable that whole time.
He is.
And especially as he keeps talking about how, like, you know, that was a hard day, but, you know, he's talking about they were heroes and we're going to do more destruction and all that stuff. And you could just see Mayfeld is like,
yeah, you already knew he was going to kill him. And you could see Mando kind of like look at him like, I think Mando sensed what was going to happen because he looked at me, just got like a very slight like head nod, like don't, like, or shake, don't do it. But it kept going, and the guy kept almost egging him on even. Yeah. And I don't think he was doing it to egg him on. I think he was just he's a believer about what he was doing. And first of all, his face, God, that guy has that cynical face. I mean, he looks evil.
Yeah,
I love it.
Sinister,
sorry. Yeah. Sinister face and cynical too. I mean, you never know. But yeah, he sold it. Yeah. But I love how Miggs kills him. And then the one stormtrooper's like,
he's like, I was just getting my lunch, bro.
Right? Like, he didn't want to do anything. He's just like, do I have to fight?
It's a nice like humor moment that Star Wars, and I think The Mandalorian gets Star Wars humor a lot better than, I think, especially the new sequel trilogy. That is a classic Star Wars humor moment, like out of the vein of, you know, Han Solo in the, you know, going, how are you? You know, like, boring conversation anyway. You know, it's just like one of those, like, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and you could see he's just standing there like, oh crap. And then it, then you get your firefight and they kind of take everyone out, and you got the snipers, with Cara Dune and I don't know, Fennec Shand, just taking people out left and right.
They really do.
Boba Fett coming in with the Slave One, which I do want to talk about. So this is another, again, Star Wars nerd moment. Early in the episode, when they just pick up Mayfeld and they're sitting in Slave One, and it's taking off, and you could see the back of the ship rotating around them. Yeah. Like it's super cool, because Slave One is one of those things where you're like, how does this ship work?
I keep trying to figure that out.
And so to see the kind of the inner workings of it, that was kind of a cool moment.
I like that, because I've always wondered, I'm like, but he's facing, but then when he parks, he's laying. Yeah. How does all this happen?
Yeah. So clearly, like the cockpit and the body of it, like rotate.
It's like on a gimbal, I guess, essentially.
It's cool. It's cool.
But like, here's my other thing too. I did like, so going back to the firefight scene.
Okay. Yeah.
They kill everybody in the cafeteria. And I like how he says they don't have to see your face, or no one saw your face, or something like that. So, and he hands him his helmet looking away.
So I usually watch things with subtitles on, just because I'll watch them late at night when other people in my household are asleep. And so I don't want to wake anyone up. Yeah. So I have it loud enough to hear, but I also watch with subtitles. So what he actually says is, I never saw your face.
Oh, I never saw your face.
So he's giving his helmet back and saying, I'm not seeing anything. Obviously, I think he's also blanket. Everyone else is dead. Yeah. So they also didn't see your face. But guess what? That computer did.
Yeah, that computer did for sure.
Which, by the way, I think it's funny that their level of security isn't, you have to have certain access. You have to be in the system to access this. It's just, like, it's restrictive. It's like anyone can access this unless you're one of these people, or if you're a droid. Yeah. Like, it has to be your face.
That makes no sense.
It's one of those things where it's like, it's almost like an open terminal where it's like anyone can use it. But I think that's the reason that, Cara Dune couldn't have done it, because they would have recognized, like, that it would have scanned her and been like, oh, you're New Republic, or Fennec Shand, who's wanted by the ISB, or the Boba Fett moment where he goes, they might recognize my face.
We don't want to talk about this.
Yeah, because he's the template for all of the clone troopers. Like, that was a little funny moment.
That was a fun one. I like that. That one I actually did catch. I was like, okay, catch this one.
And so, again, it's a little bit like, just go with this on this, that, like, it doesn't matter that, like, he doesn't have to have proper clearance. Like, it wasn't that they needed Miggs's face. Mm-hmm. They just needed his knowledge. And so I did think that was a little bit weird, that it's like, sure, you can do it. Like,
yeah. That's true. That was like one of those like plot holes, and it's like, oh, I'll live with that one.
Don't worry
because
about it,
we get an amazing scene out of it. Yeah. So I'm okay with that. I was really happy with this one though. Like, it's like you said, it got the snipers, and then what was that, like a bomb he drops out of Slave One?
The seismic charge, which is a callback to Attack of the Clones, episode 2, where his dad uses that while being chased by Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're having like a space battle, and they're using those seismic charges like kind of in an asteroid field. It's actually one of the very few cool scenes in that movie. I don't like most of that movie, but that scene and those seismic charges are cool, and it was cool to see them brought back. And in Attack of the Clones, because obviously it doesn't destroy Obi-Wan, we only ever see it kind of blow up asteroids, and so to see this just like rip through those TIE fighters, that was a cool shot. I like that.
I liked that, and I did like the rocket's back. I don't know if you noticed. Boba had a rocket again.
Oh yeah, I was like, I noticed. Oh yeah. Again, we don't know where they're getting them from, but clearly,
so when he was getting his armor polished,
it's a surplus store somewhere, and they bought like 50 of them. I don't know.
I saw that. I was like, oh, there's the rocket again.
I did like, Mayfeld also blowing up the base. It wasn't enough for him just to kill that general. Like, he was like, I'm gonna, like, he's clearly anti the Empire now.
Yeah.
And
the general even said that they're gonna make
more chaos.
More chaos, and that Cinder would be nothing compared to what we're gonna do now.
Right. And that's kind of that was his breaking point, where he's like, oh,
screw this, I'm pulling the gun out.
And so when he pulled out that cycler rifle, which is a Tusken Raider weapon that clearly Boba Fett had laying around.
I mean, why not?
It was cool to see him take that shot, and then they let him go.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, which I really like that they did it, and I liked it was a 45-second thing, and I liked like the first 35 seconds of it. It was like, oh, this is really cool. And then when they kind of did that last one with Bill Burr, like, all right, I guess I'm going. And I was like, come on, guys. We did this for too long. Like it wasn't as funny as I think they were. It was like a cringe joke moment, which they even do early in the episode, where he makes some comment about Cara Dune being like super fun or whatever, and nobody laughs at his joke. They all just look at him like, and it's like, is that like, are they making fun of Bill Burr? Like,
I was wondering that too. I was like, is he supposed to be like a funny comedian? And like, no, nothing. None of his jokes are hitting.
Yeah, and so I liked that you know, Cara Dune and Mando kind of were like, oh, it's a shame that he died, and you know, and it takes a moment for it to click in his brain, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go. Yeah, and it was just kind of the button on that scene that I didn't necessarily like as much. I liked that they did it, but it did lose a little humor for me.
I honestly like that one because it feels like, I mean, when you're somebody who has no idea who these people are, and you think you're gonna die a couple of times, I'm sure, and he probably thought, well, maybe they're gonna kill me. Which by the way,
that was a great moment of when Boba Fett walks down the ship and he like does that double take. He's like, oh, I thought you were someone else, and then Mando walks down and he's like, oh crap.
See, that's why I think I like that 45 seconds. I like it dragged out because he doesn't really understand what's going on. You don't know these people. You've been with them for what, 8 hours maybe?
Yeah.
So, you know, who knows?
Well, last time he worked with Mando, he betrayed Mando.
Yeah, exactly.
And so is he going to take me out? Is he going to betray me?
Exactly.
I will say, you know, just kind of going back, we touched on the fact that you know, when he's fighting those pirates, you know, he has that moment where he realizes, hey, I'm not in Beskar anymore, and he, you know, but it does show off he's an awesome fighter.
Yes.
Like, he definitely, you know, he had to take down a ton of guys, and, you know, even though he does rely on his armor in a lot of situations, that's not what makes him a great fighter.
I think this showed that. You know, we're not seeing, like you said, we're not seeing him in the armor. We see him fight these, and then at the end, he's kind of like, right before the TIE fighter, he's like, like you can see he's tired.
Which, by the way, like, it's, whether you want to call it an Indiana Jones moment or a Captain America moment, it's like, which is what, oh, fine. It's just like, all right, I'll be ready again. You know, it's just like that final, like he's taken so many guys out, and it's just like, all right, I guess I could do this all day.
Exactly. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask, since I don't know the way these guns work.
Okay.
Did blasters run out of ammo? Or is
I think faulty? It jammed. I think because we've never seen it necessarily run out of armor or run out of ammo.
Okay.
So I think that it jammed, and there has been some precedent in Star Wars for blasters jamming. So that's my guess. They don't linger on it. I love that he throws it and misses, like, which is like, yeah, you're 20 feet away. They're gonna be able to dodge it.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
so that was kind of funny. But when he throws that spear at the dude, that was cool. And you know, we see him fighting a little bit with a long weapon, which again, that Beskar spear.
It's a hint.
We might be seeing him fight Moff Gideon with that.
I hope so.
That's
now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Moff Gideon, was that last bit? What did you think of him basically telling Moff Gideon, "I'm coming for you"?
So two things. Okay. Number one, it was cool to throw that speech back at Moff Gideon with only a slight difference. And I don't know if you picked up on this because in season 1, when Moff Gideon delivers that speech, he refers to Grogu as it.
Yes.
And Mando refers to him as he.
Yeah.
And I think that is an important thing, is because he's an object to Moff Gideon.
And he's a person or a creature to him.
He's a person to Mando. So I think that was cool to have just that slight twist, but to throw his words back in his face. And the other thing was, you better already be there.
That's what I was thinking.
Because you don't want to tip your hand that you're coming unless you already are on his tail. Because if you're not already there, what's to stop him from just jumping to light speed, and all that work you just did to get his coordinates are gone. Exactly. And so like that's where the next episode has to be kicking off with them already being there.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me.
And see, that's obviously the same thing. Or I mean, this is a cruise ship. Like this is like a huge ship, isn't it?
It's like a battleship,
isn't it? So I mean, why are you going to warn everybody now? The whole ship is on alert. Now I'm sure they have cannons that can blow you out of the sky like nothing. Yeah, so it's like, come on.
There has to be a good tactical reason for it, because at this point I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you. Like, why would you tip him off that you're coming? You know, your best bet is to go in secret and just whisk him away. Yeah. And so either they've already like planned that out and gone, that's not going to work, and so we need to do something different.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I think maybe his ultimate plan is, I need to kill Moff Gideon, because if I don't, he's just going to keep He's just going to keep coming. And so he wants to draw him out, and he wants to make it personal. He wants to make it one-on-one so that he has a better chance than if he's fighting. And like, that's the only thing that makes sense.
I mean, unless you're Moff Gideon and he knows he's that egotistic that he's like, I don't care if you know where I'm at. And, let's face it, a lot of these villains are. And he accepts the challenge. Like, all right, fine, come on.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just one of those, like, I can't, even if I was a villain, I'd be like, okay, like you said, hyperspace or light speed, whatever, get the heck out of here. They'll never know where we're at.
Yeah.
Or if they were, everyone, battle stations, first thing, anything that comes in our sight, just blow it out of the sky. I don't care if it's ours or theirs, just blow it up.
Yep.
I mean, that's me.
And the other thing is, I think we're still going to get those Death Troopers. I think we're going to get an action scene of them.
Hope so.
I heard a fan theory, which I'm kind of liking.
Okay.
That those droids are actually made out of Beskar.
Ooh.
Which would make it very difficult.
So he would need that spear to kill him.
I mean, he's going to need something because, just blasters don't work on Beskar. We've seen that.
Do you think we would get the rounds you would tell me that can, like the lightsabers, if they deflect, it would still hurt him or whatever?
I don't know because I don't know that Mando knows about those.
Oh, that's true. He would.
He doesn't know anything about Jedi.
Would Boba know about that kind of stuff?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, his dad had to teach him. Well, his dad kind of died. Yeah.
His dad died when Boba was like 10.
I'll have to ask you off camera this other question.
Right. So anyway, anything else in this episode that you wanted to touch on? I mean, we kind of talked about most everything. It was interesting that Carl Weathers did not come along for the ride.
Yes.
So he's back on Navarro, I'm guessing. Do you think we're going to get anyone else added to our crew or anyone else showing up? Like, is it possible maybe... I mean, we don't know how much Mando knows about what Bo-Katan was after. He doesn't necessarily know that she was talking about Moff Gideon because I don't think they name drop when he's, when they're doing that scene. So we know she's after Moff Gideon for the Darksaber. He doesn't know that Moff Gideon has the Darksaber.
Yeah, and I think she said, "Does he have it?" And he said something like, "Well, you knew," or
they played the pronoun game.
Yeah,
where they didn't reveal who they were actually talking about in front of Mando.
So he wouldn't know.
And so, because I was thinking like, oh, maybe he sent a message to her like, "Hey, I know where Moff Gideon is. Meet us there." But at the end of the day, does he know that she's after Moff Gideon? So that's my question: is are we going to get anyone added to this crew, or is this our crew for the last episode?
I think this is our crew because we know, was it Sasha Banks who played the other Mandalorian? She's not on any more episodes, she said.
She announced that she was done for the season, that she only got one episode.
So to me, they're like a package deal. So if she's not there, I don't think Bo-Katan's going to show up.
All right.
Obviously, Ahsoka won't show up.
It doesn't seem like it.
There's no reason for her to be out there. There's no reason for Mando to be like, hey, can I come pick you up?
And she's not after Moff Gideon.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
She's after Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, I hope we see him somehow. Like, I hope it fails and he pops up like, you failed me or something. Like, now we're going to get our next villain.
I really don't because everything I know about Grand Admiral Thrawn, I don't think he and Moff Gideon are working together.
Really?
I don't think so. I think they're... Well, they may have been on the same side. Grand Admiral Thrawn actually, and this is not necessarily new canon. This is, historical. His motivations weren't that the Empire comes first. He comes from an area in the unknown regions, and his kind of underlying goal, and this is after the Empire went away in those books. This is post Return of the Jedi. But his underlying goal was actually that there was a greater threat out in the unknown regions that he was trying to marshal forces for to combat that. Probably, that was affecting his homeworld kind of thing. And so, although he's been a member of the Empire, it's not that he's not a true believer like Hess or like Moff Gideon seemed to be.
Kind of like Red Skull. Red Skull was was working with the bad guys, but he had his own agenda.
Yeah, I would agree that that's a good comparison for Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I can see that.
And so with that, I don't think that he and Moff Gideon are necessarily working together. Although it's possible that Moff Gideon is also an acolyte of his, and maybe is only seeming to be so gung ho for the Empire. But it just. What we've seen so far, it doesn't seem that they're necessarily working together.
Okay. I mean, I would hope to still see him somehow. Or even if it's a last, 2 seconds of him coming out about something else.
Which, I think I said on last week's episode, I was expecting the cliffhanger reveal to be whoever that Jedi was that Grogu called out to.
And we haven't gotten it yet.
Well, and I'm expecting that. Last week when I said that, I was expecting that as the season finale, kind of. So next episode.
Yeah. So next week.
But I don't know anymore. Like, it feels like we didn't move the story enough forward to get there. And so I don't know, because this next episode, I don't know how long it's going to be. It needs to be jam-packed, depending on, but like, we're going to have a showdown with Moff Gideon. I don't think I'm fairly certain he's not going to die, because I think there was even an interview with Giancarlo Esposito where he talked about having more to do in season 3.
Did you see what he told his daughters?
Yes, he did. I think I sent that to you.
Did you? Okay, I can't remember who sent it to me.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is just, something funny for all of you out there, where basically, his daughters in real life, Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Moff Gideon, were like, "Don't hurt that baby," and he's like, "I will crush that baby."
Yeah, I'm gonna crush it.
Like,
I love it. I was like, I want to grow up to be him now. That's who I want to grow up to be.
But yeah, I think we're gonna get a showdown. We're definitely going to get. I think we're going to get a Grogu and Mando reunited, and they're going to get away.
Yeah.
Whether they leave Moff Gideon maybe crippled, so that he can't necessarily pursue them right away. I don't know exactly, but I don't think he's gonna die.
No.
And I'm next episode, there's going to be a lot that happens, because I was expecting episode 7 to move the story forward more.
Yeah.
And all we really did in this episode was know where to go.
Yeah.
Like that was what we accomplished, which was important to accomplish, but that's the type of thing that in a movie, we accomplish in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so
That's true.
to have an entire 35-minute episode dedicated to that, like, that's cool. I like that we're stretching it out, and I like that we're getting more, but I am concerned about what this final episode of like, how many hanging threads are we going to have from season 2?
And I hope it's a little bit longer. I hope this episode is a little bit longer in runtime than the rest.
Yeah, but I think season 1's finale was the longest episode of that season.
Yeah.
So we'll see if season 2 follows that.
Hopefully, because I agree. I think Moff Gideon's going to live.
Yep.
I think he's probably, like you said, get crippled, get hurt.
Yeah, maybe not physically. That's not what I meant when I said.
I think physically he will.
I don't know. I think his operation will be crippled, but I don't know if he'll actually get injured or not. We'll see.
I think he will. I think he's going to either lose an arm, because left arms, Empire,
Star Wars. So that's a very Star Wars thing to do.
So I think he's going to get crippled. I think somehow we're going to see Bo-Katan tied into all this. Now, I don't think she's going to show up. I think he's going to make some comments, some offhand comments that we'll understand as a viewer. Mando will be like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I really think that because they name dropped Grand Admiral, I think somehow he's going to, either he'll come out himself or a message will go out to him or something. But I do think
I don't think that's getting paid off until the Ahsoka series.
You think so? You think that's going to wait?
Yeah. So, by the way, check out our videos on YouTube. There will be a video coming out. If it's not already up, there will be one coming soon about the Ahsoka series. But I do think we'll get somehow a tie to the Jedi that he talked to. I really do think there's. I feel like we have to, because we spent so much time in episode 6.
It dragged out too much.
Season.
Even if it's a colored lightsaber coming on, I think we'll get something like, just because Luke uses a green one, right? Isn't he like the main one that uses it?
There's a few other people that have used green ones.
Who's alive still
in this time period? Yeah,
him.
I don't remember what color Ezra's is actually. I don't remember if it's green or blue.
I think we'll see maybe the lightsaber come on, and then it's like, oh, we don't know who that is, kind of thing. Maybe a black silhouette.
Which, by the way, I hope is not the case, because there's so many instances in recent memory. So whether it be in Solo with Darth Maul, or even in this series with last episode with Moff Gideon, like, why are they igniting their lightsabers for no reason? Like, why not? Like, there's no reason to ignite your lightsaber, and it kind of stands out as like you're doing this so the fans remember that you have this lightsaber, or that you are this character, or whatever. And it's like, I don't like. There's not a story reason for them to ignite their lightsaber here. And so that would be really weird if that's how they reveal it. If it's just all of a sudden a green lightsaber comes on in like a hologram, and you're like, but why?
It'd be funny, they comment, why did you, what? Like, I'm not even, okay. I mean, Ahsoka's, though, they did hers right, I think.
Yeah.
Because she would pop it on just to like kill, turn it right back off.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Cool.
So I think we kind of covered, like you said, this whole episode at this point.
Yeah. And so I think that, as we kind of talked about, you liked this episode a lot. I think my first viewing, I was a little bit cool on it just because I was expecting more. But then rewatching it, I was like, okay, this episode actually did a lot. There was a lot of, just small little, Easter eggs. I mean, even, this was directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who did the Prison Break episode last season. And so like that droid at the very beginning with Miggs, that's like prisoner, blah, 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 come down and get your new orders. That's the same type of droid that was on that New Republic transport ship that they had to like take out. And so like there's cool stuff that's just like, oh, I'm picking up on that.
The episode that you were like, nothing's happening with, it's all tying together now.
Well, it wasn't that nothing happened with it. It's that it didn't matter to first season. Yeah. And so it felt very out of place. But obviously they're paying off a lot of it in this season.
They are. So definitely check out the rest of our, next week are the final episode of season 2, so our final review. Yeah. And check out our Pixar reviews as well as all the Star Wars and Marvel videos that will be up on Facebook and YouTube. There's going to be a lot of those videos. Hopefully by the time this comes up, there should be some. Yeah. But definitely check those out and some Game Award news and stuff like that. So guys, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on youtube.com/officialgygo. And y'all have a great day.
Bye.